Blake, your coach was saying that you had told him that this was one of the best summers you feel like you've had as far as being healthy and being able to really work at full tilt. Can you just kind of talk about that and how good you feel right now?
Yeah, you know, the last 2 or 3 summers, coming back from injury and rehab, I wasn't able to really get on the court until I think mid-August was the first time I got to step on the court, and I got to do 15 minutes of spot shooting from mid-August to like first or second week in September. So as far as basketball skill development, my growth was stunted a little bit by that, I feel like. So having a full summer of being healthy, being in the weight room, being in the gym since the end of May, you know, was a first for me. So I really feel like this summer, you know, made strides as far as not only just conditioning and strength and getting, you know, some explosiveness back and improving there, but just in the gym, you know, being able to get shots up, being able to work on my game, the things that I felt like I needed to work on for, you know, an entire 5 months almost.
Coach Casey said he called your workout scientific. Could you elaborate on like kind of what your focus was or what you did to get that title?
I just had a very, very clear plan. I worked out with a guy named Noah Roche this summer who does an unbelievable job of putting together kind of a formula. And we had about an hour conversation at the beginning of the summer before we started working out, just on what I wanted to work on. And then he went and watched film. He sent me film. We had about 8 to 10 guys in there for dummy defense, so it was all very like live, read and react, working on the stuff that I wanted to work on. And then, you know, each day I got a film breakdown of that day's workout. So I think that's probably what he means by that. Just going over every little detail and making sure that you know, I was learning from the previous workouts, not just watching film from previous seasons.
Given that you say you've been healthy since May, how would you evaluate your athleticism and your leaping ability coming into this season compared to last season and compared to before you started dealing with your injuries?
How would I evaluate my leaping ability?
Well, that and your overall athleticism, because it seems like you've been maybe a little bit less athletic or limited by injuries in recent years because of the injuries.
As far as overall evaluation of leaping ability, I'm not sure. That's probably something that you guys would have to evaluate. I feel great. I feel you know, as strong and as explosive as I have, you know, the past 2-3 years. So, you know, that'll continue to get better as I continue to work on strength and all that. But you know, my biggest concern and my biggest area was coming into camp in really good conditioning shape, and also, you know, being prepared skill-wise, you know, working on the things I need to work on for our offense to work and for our to help other guys.
Can you measure the value of getting to know these guys a little bit better? Dre obviously is a personality that you can gravitate toward a little bit, but coming in at the trade deadline, it's harder to get to know everybody and the scheme and everything else, and now you're coming in with a new coach, but you've had the summer, you're going to have training camp, and the comfort level that comes with all of it.
Yeah, I'm always a big believer in going through like the little things, the tough things, the summer workouts, the beginning of camp, you know, the two-a-days, the preseason, the grind of the regular season. I think when you go through all that together as a team, you know, you have that common respect for each other that you all went through this and you've come out on the other side. So for me, coming into this season and being here the whole summer, being able to work out with these guys, being here for the start of training camp is huge. But, you know, basketball and chemistry and all that, it's forever, you know, growing and forever becoming a stronger bond. I played with a lot of guys for, you know, 5-6 years with the Clippers, and that was still changing. It was still changing every year. You know, you got a little bit better, you made tweaks here and there, so I don't ever expect it to be fully finished or our chemistry to be perfect in terms of you know, always knowing what to do and where to be, but the great thing is we've had great communication this summer, and that's kind of the foundation, and that's where it starts.
Now, Blake, there's a lot of talk about front offices using advanced sabermetrics, the numbers, and how they evaluate talent. For you as a player, what's your relationship like with the numbers, the stats, the advanced sabermetrics, and how do you use that to improve your game?
I think you use it wisely. I think you know, you can get caught up in a lot of it, and you can in my mind, you can make a case for almost anything you want. But as a team, there are certain undeniable facts. There's certain undeniable statistics, and I think it's our front office, it's our coaching staff, and us as players, our job to determine what is right for this team, and that'll be decided by the front office and the coaching staff and us as players. We have to believe in it, lock in, and do our job. So I think as players you can look at whatever you want, but at the end of the day, if that statistic or that number isn't benefiting the team, it's a little bit useless.
As a follow-up, is there one particular stat that you pay attention to?
That I pay attention to?
Specifically, day to day?
There's one at like the very end. It's like wins and losses.
Yep.
So that was normally the one I circle.
Blake, you really who have come through here have talked about their excitement level this year. The guys who've been here, they seem they have higher expectations. You're a guy who's been on teams that went into preseason with championship level expectations in the Clippers. What's your perspective on kind of like their expectation level this year? How legitimate is their excitement level?
Who's there?
Your teammate.
Oh, our team.
Yeah.
I mean, our expectations should be high. I don't, in the East, with our roster, I don't see why getting home court in the playoffs is not a reasonable expectation. I've played in the playoffs and been fortunate enough to be on teams to know that, once you get into the playoffs, getting home court and not is the deciding factor, could be the deciding factor in a Game 7, playing on the road and playing at home. So, that should be our goal this year, is to, take these little steps and the season's so long that you have to have little goals along the way. You have to have the, how do you want to play on the road? How do you want to play at home? What are those records? What are our main objectives each and every game, each and every week, every month to grow as a team? But ultimately, those little goals add up to the big goal, and that's for us should be to get home court in the playoffs, to make the playoffs, and once you get in the playoffs, it's whatever can happen.
Like when you look at your last month you played last year at March, you really shot the three ball really well. Can't remember exactly, but between a 40-45% clip, and you were shooting a lot of them. That finish of the season, is that something you carry over to the offseason, and does it give you a whole lot of confidence going into this year that you can really make the three-point shot a real weapon as part of your game?
Yeah, I think you try to carry it over a little bit. In that stretch in March, I felt like I kind of had finally gotten my legs under me a little bit and settled into a little bit better role with this team. But and just talking with Coach Casey and his staff, and learning kind of the ins and outs of how we want to play offensively, I think it will be. I think for me, I think it's important to not settle, and make quick decisions. I think that's one of the things that I worked on a lot this summer is catch if it's not there, either get off of it, drive, attack, kick, whatever it is. I think our offense will move and be much smoother if we're all playing that way. So that was a big plan, just for me, not just getting up shots, shooting threes. It's all about decision making for me.
How much is the league involved in terms of coaching philosophy? Because I'm sure when you came into the league, they weren't looking at you as a 3-point shooter. You've only been doing it maybe like the last 2 years, and now Andre's going to be shooting some threes here and there. How much has changed in the league in terms of offensive philosophy?
I think it's just faster pace, higher octane offenses. I don't know that I'm completely sold on like the everybody shoots threes all the time thing. I think it depends. I mean, I think the thing that everybody's looking at is, okay, how do you beat or play with, the top teams in the league? And a lot of these top teams, the Warriors and Rockets and teams like that, are shooting a lot of threes, but not everybody shoots threes on those teams. So I think for us, playing, within ourselves and within our offense and within our skill sets is very important. We still want to use Dre to his strengths because he's one of the most dominant centers and one of the best finishers, one of the best rebounders. So, I think it would be doing him a disservice to, keep him away from the rim and doing the things that he does best. But I love that Coach Casey has given so many guys, the freedom and confidence to do those things. I think it'll help. But with that said, we still have to play within the parameters of our offense, and not really worried about what other coaches are doing here and there.
What has the transition been like with a new coach during the offseason?
It's been great, man. Coach Casey does an unbelievable job of communicating. From our first conversation, right when he got hired until now, it's always been about what we're trying to do moving forward, how we're going to play, what he wants me to concentrate on, and in the summertime when everybody's kind of spread out and you don't get to sit down and practice and watch film, that's huge. So I expect that to even go to the next level here with the start of training camp and everything else like that. So he's put together a great staff. He's obviously has the experience. It's not often you get to hire a coach who just came off a Coach of the Year campaign, but that's our fortune. So we feel lucky to have him, and I'm excited to move forward with him.
So for this team to be successful, how much do you need to keep expanding your game? You talked about your leap ability, but beyond that, your playmaking, your three-point shooting, do you feel that's something you are trying to ratchet up and need to ratchet up? The overall game?
Yeah, I've kind of always had that mindset. I think each summer you maybe focus in on some things. For me personally, I focus in on a few things, but as a whole, I always kind of work on my overall game, and playmaking is a big part of that. Like I said, quick read and react. I think when the ball slows down, or if I catch the ball and I'm stuck with the ball, I think our offense will be worse. I think the more that ball moves and the quicker decisions we make, I think the better off we'll be. So, it's important. I take a lot of responsibility, and I've like I said, I've had a summer where I did get to work on my game and work on a lot of things that I wanted to. So, I'm excited to showcase that this year.
To go back to the coaching, if I'm not mistaken, you had 3 different coaches when you were with the Clippers. Dunleavy.
Yeah, I didn't really play for him. I played for Mike Dunleavy in the preseason, and then we had an interim coach who I still didn't play for. Right. And yeah.
Now, 2 here. How long is the process to get? Is it more than just obviously summers of meeting? Is there a point in the season? Does it take time? Do games have to be played to have that kind of comfort and just a better understanding of each other as a working relationship and as a person?
Yeah, I think a coach-player relationship is the same as any relationship. I think that the more willing you are to communicate, the more willing you are to want to get it right and not be right. More so from the player's perspective. The coach is, obviously has to set how he wants us to play and what he wants us to do. So the more willing we are as players to buy into that, I think the easier it becomes. But it's a relationship like any other relationship. It takes work and it takes communication. So it started already, and hopefully it'll keep moving forward. It's always been, for me, with teammates, coaches, whoever it's been, it's always a continual process. So it's never something that's just done.
Like, what was your honest first reaction when you heard Andre was going to start shooting threes?
I've seen him shoot threes just in our time together last year. I've seen him shoot threes, and I saw him shoot threes this summer, and he can hit threes. And like I said, I think it's great that Coach Casey gives guys that confidence, because you just never know what happens until a guy has the confidence to take this shot or to do whatever. But Andre's an unbelievable player, and he has a huge impact on the game. And I always tell him that his impact is so much further than just the score sheet or just even rebounds and points. His defensive presence, his defense in the pick and roll, those things are huge, and those things are the things that we rely on him for. So if he starts knocking down threes too, then he's doing a little bit of everything for us.
You talked about wanting to be more decisive with the ball and keep it moving. Last year you would exploit mismatches a lot to find a spot in mid-range and take it. Do you think that's still going to be a big part of your game, or do you think that's going to get kind of reduced?
I think exploiting mismatches is always a positive. I think we probably want to get away from those contested mid-range twos. This year, I think it'll probably be a little bit more at the rim, a little bit more on the perimeter. But at the end of the day, a bucket's a bucket, and when it comes down to it, when it comes down to games on the line, I think we'll take points however we can get them. But through the course of the game, I think our style of play will be a little bit more up and down and fast paced.